Hey everybody, I'm Mark from Asian Funk Comics. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're joined by a very special guest. He is a world-renowned comic book artist and writer, Paolo Rivera. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm even a writer now too.
That's right. Yeah, I actually was like, you know what? I'm gonna put
Barely.
that in. Hey, it counts.
Yeah,
And we'll definitely
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Absolutely. And once again, I just want to say I'm super honored to have you here. I'm a huge fan of your work, and I can't wait to kind of just pick your brain about Spider-Man. So yeah, like I said, honored to have you here.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah. So I think we tried to get together, I think like 6 months ago, even before like the first trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home came out.
Yeah.
And I've been dying to ask you this. What were your thoughts on that first trailer when you saw it? Because when I saw it, I was like, I can't believe they're doing the one moment in time storyline. I thought about you right away. I was like, they are doing it. But what were your thoughts when you saw the first trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home?
Well, I'll put it this way. I trying to remember exactly how it went down. I saw it and I was like, mind kind of blown. And then I was kind of in a daze all day, and I was trying to get the same reaction from my wife, and she just like didn't. Either it wasn't registering or whatever. It did eventually register, but I mean, she likes my work, and she obviously supports me, but she, it's not a big comic book reader. But as soon as I saw the end of the previous Spider-Man movie, I mean, I remember sitting in the theater and being like, no, they wouldn't. No, that's ridiculous. So then, like, I kind of forgot about that. And when that trailer hit, I was like, oh my God, they did it. And, I think I went to Twitter like immediately, and just, my jaw was dropped for the rest of the day.
At the end of the last movie, I was like, okay, who knows what they'll do with this, right? I didn't even think they would make a third one for a while. But yeah, definitely when Doctor Strange showed up, I was like, okay, they're doing it. Like,
yeah,
what other storyline would this be? Because I can't remember of any other time that Spider-Man and Doctor Strange were in the same scene together for, like, what other popular storyline would they have pulled from?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, they're going there. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a relief now that it's out, and it's just such a huge relief that everyone liked it.
Yeah, and a different reaction, right?
When the book came out, the reaction was not quite the same. So I was kind of like, no matter what happens, whether it's a good movie or a bad movie, it's good for me. There's no such thing as bad publicity. But it was still a relief when it was almost universally adored, and myself included. So that was just a huge. I mean, it was just a joy just to see and be a part of it.
Have you seen sort of like a resurgence of like love for the one moment in time storyline now? Like,
I will give you the one data point that proves it, and that is, I am selling original art from that book. So that book came out over 10 years ago, and I sold art from it, thanks to my collectors and whatnot. But then there's always a trickle off as interest dies down, or time passes and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I started seeing an uptick, and I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it's great.
I will agree with that, because I was not into comic book art until I saw that trailer, and I was like, I should see if there's any pages from that
deals
even left. And there was a ton.
Yeah, there were some deals.
Yeah, and not even characters doing nothing. Like, there were some moment, like basically the moment where he decides to have everyone's memory wiped out, and like, that scene, exactly like 3 or 4 pages of that scene, I couldn't believe it was still there. And of course I was like, I got to get one of those. And then after the trailer dropped, I went back to see what was left, all gone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, it's been a good year.
Yeah. No. So I was like, okay, if there's ever a time I'm going to speak to you, it's going to be now, and it's going to be like this.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But so you saw the trailer, got super hyped and excited. And then tell me about your movie going experience to see this movie, and then what your thoughts were about the film, because I'm dying to hear, like, when you finally saw the movie, what did you think?
Well, it's COVID times, and it came out, we waited until it had been in the theater for about 6 weeks at least, because I wanted to, I wanted to go with my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
My son, he's only 2, so he would not have been fun. So we actually went to the theater right next to his daycare, and we just made an afternoon of it. Yeah, it was everything. We, had a nice late lunch, and then, saw the movie, and then went right down the street to pick up my son, and then we all went home happy. I had to explain to my daughter, like, I want to wait to see my name up there.
Yeah, yes.
It's going to be at the bitter end. And she got a little anxious, but we made it through, and they all enjoyed it.
And what did you?
She can handle my daughter's 6, and she can handle scary stuff, but she needs to be like, I need to warn her ahead of time.
Right. Yeah, I guess you never really think about that, like, for younger audiences, there were some scary moments in that movie,
Oh yeah.
But like, so when did you feel like, okay, that's literally straight from something that you created? Like, what was that feeling like when you saw it, like, on the screen, like, actually happening?
Well, what I miss is I want to see some floating candles in the background.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
crossing my fingers. I just want to see one floating candle, but it didn't happen. At least, I didn't see it. It's funny, like, it was such an exciting movie, and it just so fast paced right from the beginning. I kind of got lost in just the experience of it. So I at a certain point, I was no longer looking for any of that stuff. For me, the most exciting part was, spoiler alert, seeing Daredevil make an appearance.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
right.
Just,
oh my
really,
God. Yeah.
super memorable. I mean, it's so short, but it was perfect.
Yeah.
And for me, that really set the tone for just how much I enjoyed the rest of the film.
Yeah. I try to stay away from spoilers. Like, I literally only watch the first trailer they released, and I don't watch trailer 2, the final trailer. I don't watch any of that stuff, because
it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, it does. And for someone who reads a lot of comics, like, you can put things together really well. Like, you can piece things, and, like, you can figure out a basic storyline. But what I think they've done really well is that they show you stuff sometimes that's not even in the movie, and sometimes it's just completely out of context. So that's great. But you're right. Like, I was hoping that they would have Peter out in, like, the fire escape, and then Daredevil would have, like, showed up, and I was like, that's his cover, like, just something. That would have, I mean, that would have been just, like, too perfect, right? Like, just literally replicate a cover. But yeah, no, that's amazing. I was very excited for you.
Thank you.
And
I mean, that's why social media can be fun. It's because, everyone saw it before me, but they were also respectful, and there were no spoilers. They just let me know that my name was going to be in the credits, and that they were very excited for me, and just everyone couldn't wait for me to see it. So it's really nice when social media is a force for good, at least in my own life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was just such a great movie, and I was just so happy to just have even the smallest part of it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. And of course, I mean, I have to ask your thoughts. What, I'm assuming you saw the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer.
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to see in that? Because I think there might be some other scenes that you might have drawn that will show up, because since they, I'm going to back up a little bit. Marvel's very good at taking pieces of different storylines and then creating a whole new one, right?
Right.
There's a scene where Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, and Tony Stark are talking, because in your one moment in time, they're debating whether they want to go ahead and erase everyone's memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that might show up in some form. And I'm going to be like, there it is. Because right now there are pages that are still available on Splash Page like there's like 15 pages of that entire conversation.
Yeah.
I can guarantee
which was a joy to draw because it takes place in inky darkness.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
I remember reading that script, because it's the final issue and I'm always behind, but I'm especially behind by the last issue. And I'm just getting the script. I'm like, oh, thank God.
You're like, okay, there's no cityscapes, there's no crowds. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because you do have to break down, part of the penciler's job is just time management. So you got to read that whole script and decide where you're going to budget your time, So I'm like, all right, on the last page, Mary Jane is going to be staring at the Empire State Building. And I was like, all right, there's 6 hours. And then you got to go back to page 1. And it was like, all right, they're just floating in space. And that is literally the easiest thing to draw on Earth.
Yeah.
And actually, at the time, I actually hired 2 of my friends to fill in blacks. They're both artists, but not comic book artists. They're just
right.
And so they just came over, and I'm like, I'm over on one, and it was my bedroom / studio. This is in Brooklyn, and I'm drawing over here, and they're filling in blacks and ruling panel borders over on the other side of my bedroom. So yeah, it is. It's time management, budgetary concerns, and but we got it done. So
do you think it was tricky because even though the background's all dark, but like that whole scene is like 10 pages of them just talking? Was it difficult to create different angles of them speaking? Like, because
I mean, you do have to put some thought into it, but nothing compares to doing lots of windows. Like I'm doing that right now, and
yeah, I can see it in your face. It's just like days and days of windows.
It is. It's just kind of endless, and you do get better at it, and you pick up some tricks along the way. But at the end of the day, you just got to draw every window.
Yeah,
and, I occasionally I'll use like 3D backgrounds and that stuff. And actually on one moment in time, I had a lot of help from Joe Quesada, who gave me 3D models to help with, the ones that he had actually commissioned to be built, and then he shared with me. So that helped me as well, especially for some of the more complex. Like if I'm doing something on my own and I don't have any 3D models, I rarely go into 3-point perspective, just because it's like one extra thing that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
But if I've got a 3D model, it's a lot easier. And so I'll just kind of go for it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about your wacky references. I want to touch on that too. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, like I said, I was really excited for you, and I'm most certainly sure there's going to be something in more movies to come.
I mean, I wouldn't bet money on it, but that's just because I'm not a big gambler.
Yeah, right. No, that's the safe bet.
Yes. But thank you so much for just taking an interest in my artwork and letting me talk about it. It's fun.